Hold still. Your tie's crooked again. I was about to push open the door to Leah's office when I heard her voice. I stepped inside and saw Leah adjusting a young man's tie, so engrossed she didn't even notice me. The young man, however, saw me immediately. A flash of surprise crossed his eyes, quickly replaced by a flicker of hidden triumph. He wiped the smirk from his lips, schooling his features into a look of feigned panic. Leah, really, it's fine. I can get it. Just hold still, Leah said, patting his shoulder gently. You never get it right. You can't be this sloppy when you're meeting clients. Leah, I said, my voice flat. She froze, her hands still hovering near his collar. A faint blush crept up her cheeks, like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Grant, what are you doing here so early? She dropped her hands and took an instinctive step to the side, putting some distance between herself and the intern. My eyes swept over the scene. 2 half-empty coffee mugs sat on her desk. A few files were scattered about. They'd clearly been in here together for a while. Am I early? My voice was dangerously calm. Looks like I'm interrupting. Mr. Covington, I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I'm so clumsy. I'm always bothering Ms. Vance, the young man said, ducking his head. His apology was pitch perfect, but his eyes held a glint of defiance. Leah rushed to my side and reached for my arm, but I subtly shifted away. Caleb just got back from a big client meeting, and his tie was a mess, she explained with a strained smile. You're the one who always says details determine success, right? I nodded slowly, my gaze landing on Caleb's tie. It was a deep navy silk with a subtle pattern, a high-end piece, not something a typical intern could afford. Caleb, you can go for now, Leah said. Once the door clicked shut, I looked her straight in the eye. Leah, you and that kid, Caleb, you're getting too close. Her eyes fluttered. Grant, you're being paranoid. I was just helping a subordinate with his tie. It's perfectly normal. She picked up her coffee, but didn't drink. He reminded me of myself when I first started out, so awkward and clueless. Seeing him, I just remember what it was like for me. I'm just looking out for him. Does looking out for him require you to be that close? Does it require you to be alone in your office with him all afternoon? I said, my anger simmering just below the surface. Her expression hardened. Are you investigating me? Did you have someone watch me? I don't need to, I said, my voice turning to ice. The whole company can see how close you two are. Everyone saw you lock yourself in your office with him right after lunch. I leaned forward. Leah, you're his boss. More importantly, you're my fiancée. Do you really think this is appropriate? The color drained from her face. Grant, what are you implying? Are you accusing me of something? Her voice rose. Caleb is just a kid who graduated from college. He's completely innocent. Why does your mind have to be so filthy? Innocent. I let out a cold laugh. The way he looks at you isn't the way someone looks at their boss or their big sister. You. Leah shot to her feet. You're being ridiculous. I never knew you were this petty and small-minded. If you don't trust me, just say it. Her chest heaved. She was furious. Caleb is young. What's wrong with me helping him out? Why are you so insecure? Helping him. You stare the hair. Leah, are you sure that's all you're doing? She slammed her hand on the desk. Grant, don't push it. I straightened up, my gaze turning frigid. I'm just warning you. Stop lying to yourself. I know what I'm doing, she shot back through gritted teeth, pointing at the door. I don't need you to tell me how to live my life. Why don't you mind your own damn business? I held her gaze for 2 long seconds, then nodded. Fine. As I turned to leave, I heard the sharp crack of a folder hitting the floor behind me. So ungrateful. I walked out of her office, a storm of anger brewing inside me. Her reaction was even more intense than I'd expected. She was willing to blow up at me. For an intern? It was pathetic. I'd only gone a few steps when I ran right into the clumsy intern himself. Caleb. He was holding a stack of documents. When he saw me, he plastered on a respectful, almost timid smile. Mr. Covington. I stopped, my eyes fixed on his face. Young, clean cut, a practiced flicker in his eyes. The perfect amount of newbie panic and eagerness to please in his smile. A damn good actor. A cold smirk touched my lips. Caleb, isn't it? He nodded, his voice deliberately soft. Yes, Mr. Covington. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched him. His smile started to stiffen. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple. Finally, he couldn't take the silence anymore. Mr. Covington, is there something I can do for you? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. I leaned in, my voice low and menacing. Stay away from Leah Vance. His pupils contracted, his face instantly paling. I straightened up, or you'll regret it. With that, I turned and walked away. I could hear his ragged breathing behind me, followed by a faint, trembling, Mr. Covington. I didn't look back. Idiot. I pulled out my phone, about to call my assistant and cancel my dinner plans, when I heard quick footsteps behind me. Mr. Covington, please wait a second. I turned. It was Caleb, jogging to catch up, that same look of manufactured panic on his face. He stopped a few feet away, slightly out of breath. Mr. Covington, I wanted to explain. I just stared at him, my expression unreadable. He swallowed hard, his voice soft and laced with a hint of victimhood. Earlier, he seemed upset. Did I do something wrong? Was there some kind of misunderstanding? I narrowed my eyes. So this was his game. Seeing my silence, he seemed to grow bolder. Ms. Vance is just so good to me, like a big sister. I swear I don't have any other intentions. Please don't get the wrong idea about her. He took another step closer. Actually, she talks about you all the time. She says you're always so busy with work that you don't have much time for her. I just run errands for her. Keep her company when she's bored. I stared at him, then let out a short, humorless laugh. Caleb, he flinched. Yes, Mr. Covington. Cut the act. You think I can't see the pathetic little scheme you're running? I stepped toward him, looking down at his suddenly terrified face. Your amateur theatrics might fool Leah, but they don't work on me. His expression froze, but just as quickly he switched back to the wounded look. Mr. Covington, how can you say that? I only feel gratitude and respect for Ms. Vance. His voice grew louder. Do you have some kind of prejudice against me? Ms. Vance said you weren't like this. I said what I said, and I mean it. I said, stepping closer still. Let me find you intentionally getting close to her or trying to stir up trouble again, and you'll find out exactly what the consequences are. The blood drained from his face. I let out a derisive scoff, reached out, and straightened his crooked tie. My movements were gentle, but my voice was pure ice. Stay away from her. This is your only warning. I let go and was about to turn away when a furious voice cut through the air. Grant, what do you think you're doing? I turned to see Leah storming toward us. She yanked Caleb behind her, shielding him as she glared at me. Are you harassing him again? I looked at her, protectively hovering over him. I looked at Caleb, hiding behind her, his head down, but a triumphant smirk secretly playing on his lips. And I felt a wave of absolute absurdity wash over me. I'd walked right into the little snake's trap. Leah, I said calmly, are you sure you want to make a scene here with me? For him. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her voice shrill. Grant, what gives you the right to threaten him? What did he do wrong? I said nothing, just held her gaze. My cold silence seemed to provoke her further. Caleb works hard. He does everything that's asked of him. And you treat him like this? I smirked. Works hard? Does everything that's asked. My eyes flickered past her to Caleb. Why don't you ask him what he just said to me? Caleb, don't be scared. Tell me the truth, Leah said, turning to him and patting his arm. Her voice was unbelievably gentle. Caleb immediately looked up, his eyes red-rimmed and his voice trembling. Ms. Vance, I was just explaining to Mr. Covington that you're only nice to me because I remind you of yourself when you were starting out, that I don't have any other intentions. But he seemed to misunderstand. His eyes darted toward me and then back to the floor. And then he just warned me to keep my distance from you. He took a shaky breath, glanced at me timidly, and quickly looked down again. He said I wasn't worthy of being near you. Grant. Leah whirled on me, fury blazing in her eyes. How could you say something like that? Who the hell do you think you are? He was defending you and you. Enough. I cut her off, my voice like a shard of glass. Down the hall, employees were poking their heads out of their offices, whispering, Leah, I'm giving you one last chance. Fire him, and I'll pretend this never happened. I glanced at my watch, done with this pointless drama, and started to walk away. Grant, she yelled after me. I turned back. She stared at me, her voice ringing with defiance. Let me tell you something. I'm not firing him. And since you have such a problem with Caleb, she grabbed Caleb's wrist and raised her voice. From this day on, Caleb is my personal assistant, and no one is going to touch him. The entire hallway fell silent. Caleb's eyes went wide in a perfect imitation of shock. Ms. Vance, Leah let out a cold laugh, her eyes locked on mine. I'm warning you, Grant. Don't you dare cause any more trouble for my assistant. She paused, her voice climbing even higher, as if she wanted the whole world to hear. Otherwise, our engagement is off. The air turned to ice. Every eye was on me. I looked at her, and a slow smile spread across my face. Fine, I said, my voice utterly serene. Let's call it off. Her expression went completely blank. I didn't wait for another word. I just turned and left. Behind me, I heard Caleb's fake gasp of concern. Vance, are you okay? And Leah's trembling voice, Grant. You. I didn't look back. You got what you wanted. Stepping out of the Vance Holdings building, the cold wind bit at my neck. I dialed my executive assistant, Jordan Riley. He picked up on the third ring. Mr. Covington, I need you to do 3 things for me, effective immediately, I said calmly. First, cancel my engagement party with Leah Vance in 3 days. Notify all guests. The reason is mutual agreement. There was a beat of stunned silence on the other end, but Jordan's professionalism kicked in instantly. Understood. I'll handle it right away. Second, terminate all joint ventures between Covington Enterprises and Vance Holdings. That includes the 3 ongoing real estate developments and the tech park investment. This time, Jordan's voice was tight with concern. Sir, we've already sunk a significant amount into the tech park. Pull everything. I cut him off. Pay whatever breach of contract penalties are necessary. Yes, sir. Third, I said, sliding into the back of my town car. Freeze all resource support for Vance Holdings. That includes bank guarantees, supply chain access, and all professional introductions. Jordan didn't hesitate this time. Should I send formal letters to all our partners? Do it. I lowered the window, staring at the glass facade of the Vance building in the distance. Follow the strictest protocol for contract termination. Right away, Mr. Covington. Oh, and one more thing. Have someone look into this Caleb character at Vance Holdings. Find out what his deal is. After hanging up, I opened my email and pulled up the last quarterly financial assessment for Vance Holdings. A debt-to-asset ratio of 62%. Cash flow barely stable. All 3 of their major projects were dependent on credit guarantees from Covington Enterprises. I tapped the screen, forwarded the file to my head of risk management with a simple message. Cease all credit extensions, effective immediately. My phone buzzed a moment later. A text from Jordan. Mr. Covington, the engagement party has been canceled. The hotel is asking if you'd like to keep the reservations for the jewelry and custom tuxedo. I replied, return everything. After a moment's thought, I add Leah Vance and her parents to the company's blacklist. Jordan, understood. As the car pulled into the underground garage of the Covington Tower, I was looking through the preliminary file Jordan had just sent over on Caleb Thorne. He joined Vance Holdings 3 months ago. Performance was abysmal, and he'd barely made it through his first month. Then, in the second month, Leah had taken notice of him and personally approved his full-time position. Just then, my phone started vibrating violently. It was Leah. I stared at her name flashing on the screen until the ringing stopped. 30 seconds later, it started again. I answered but said nothing. Grant. Leah's voice was accusatory. Have you lost your mind? Why would you say you're canceling the engagement at my company? Do you have any idea? Isn't that what you wanted? I cut in. I was angry, Grant. It was just something I said. Leah sighed. I love you. I treat Caleb like a little brother, that's all. With him, I took you seriously, I said, my voice devoid of warmth. I heard her sharp intake of breath, followed by a strained attempt at composure. Is this because I promoted Caleb? Is your ego that fragile? Are you really going to make such a big deal out of this? I looked out the window at the city lights blurring past. Leah, I said slowly, do you really think this is just about my ego? She was silent. Starting 3 months ago, when Caleb was hired, you had lunch with him at least 3 times a week. You stayed late with him 4 times. You had 2 separate tutoring sessions with him on the weekends, I recited coldly. Last Wednesday, you canceled our date, saying you had to meet a client. In reality, you took him to that new Michelin-starred restaurant. You've been spying on me? Her voice began to tremble. Do I need to? I scoffed. The head chef at that restaurant is a friend of mine. He saw you sitting in the romantic corner with some young guy and texted me a picture, asking if it was your little brother. That was the incident that had prompted me to go see her, to ask her to back off. I never expected such a volatile reaction. It was only then that I had someone look into it, only to discover just how well cared for this intern had been for the last 3 months. A long silence stretched over the line. So what's your point now? Her tone suddenly turned sharp. Are you trying to threaten me? Do you think our company can't survive without you? Her breathing grew heavy. Threaten you? I laughed. Do I need to? For the past 5 years, Covington Enterprises has paid a 15% premium on all contracts with Vance Holdings. We've waived all fees on your loan guarantees. Enough, she shrieked. So, you've always thought of the Vance family as charity cases living off your handouts? I loosened my tie. I'm just reminding you that some opportunities aren't built on hard work alone. Grant, I admit your help and your introductions got us in the door in the early days. But isn't it more important that our company had the talent to actually win those contracts? Even without you, we would have grown. Her voice was filled with a bitter pride. So don't you dare stand there and act so high and mighty. We build each other up. Is that really what you think? I had a laugh at the sheer absurdity of it. No good deed goes unpunished, I guess. I'd helped her build an empire, and she resented me for it. So stop meddling in my business, she continued, her voice regaining its confidence. Caleb is just like a brother to me. If you just give me some space, I'm willing to forget this whole thing. Look, why don't you go ahead and get everything ready for the engagement party in 3 days, and I'll just... You've got to be dreaming. What did you say? She screeched. I heard a loud crash on her end. Then Caleb's overly concerned voice in the background. Ms. Vance, calm down, mister. Covington would never. I hung up. A moment later, a notification popped up from Jordan. Risk Management reports that Vance Holdings' largest creditor has received our notice of guarantee termination. I replied, excellent. Half an hour later, another message. A long text from Leah. Grant, you have to listen to me. There's nothing going on with me and Caleb. He's just a kid, fresh out of college. I admit I might have been paying too much attention to him lately, but it's only because I see my younger self in him. You know, you're the person I love most. We've been together for 7 years, since college. Are you really going to throw that all away over something so small? Fine. I'll start keeping my distance from Caleb tomorrow. I will make him my personal assistant. Are you happy now? I read it, then opened my settings and block her number. An apology now? Far too late. On the morning of the engagement party, Leah soaked in the bathtub for a full hour. The scent of rose oil filled the bathroom, the steam turning her skin a delicate pink. Her phone screen lit up with a text from Caleb. Leah, you're going to be the most beautiful bride today. Need me to come to the hotel early and help with anything? A small smile played on her lips. Grant hadn't contacted her once in the 3 days since their fight, but she wasn't worried. Caleb was right. The invitations for the engagement of the Covington Enterprises heir had been sent. The press releases were out. No matter how angry Grant was, he wouldn't risk his family's reputation. No, it's okay. You know how Grant is about you. She typed back. Better if you just stay home and get some rest. Things are going to get busy for you starting tomorrow. Her mother, Susan, came in, carrying her custom-made gown. Leah, has Grant called you back yet? She asked, her brow furrowed. It's been 3 days. This is ridiculous. He's busy, Leah said, stepping out of the tub. Don't worry, Mom. He'll be at the hotel on time. Susan looked like she wanted to say more, but just sighed. You've always been so stubborn. That business with the intern. Caleb is my personal assistant now, and he's very capable. Leah cut her off, her tone firm. Grant needs to learn to respect my decisions. The makeup artist arrived on time, spending a full hour perfecting Leah's face. You look stunning, Ms. Vance, the artist said, adjusting her veil. Mr. Covington won't be able to take his eyes off you. Leah forced a smile. Grant did like her this way. Elegant, polished, flawless. Not like Caleb, who always said she was beautiful without makeup, that her focused expression at work was the most captivating thing. She was startled by her own thought and quickly shook her head. At 11 o'clock, the Vance family's limousine pulled up to the Grand Astoria Hotel. A doorman respectfully opened her door. As Leah carefully gathered her gown and stepped out, she noticed the entrance was missing their welcome sign. That's strange, she murmured. Did the concierge forget to put out? When she reached the center of the grand lobby, the color drained from her face. Before her stood a massive wedding placard. Congratulations to Mr. William Peterson and Miss Jessica Chong on their wedding day. This can't be, she whispered, her fists clenching. The hotel manager hurried over, a professional smile plastered on his face. Ms. Vance, what a surprise to see you here. Where's my engagement party? Her voice trembled. The Emerald Ballroom, booked by Covington Enterprises? The manager looked genuinely confused. You didn't know? Mr. Covington canceled the booking 3 days ago. Today's event was booked by Mr. Peterson 6 months ago. He wasn't happy with the Rose Suite and found it a bit small. When Mr. Covington canceled, Mr. Peterson upgraded to this venue, so the timing worked out perfectly. Leah's head began to pound. The rest of his words blurred into a meaningless buzz. She mechanically turned to look toward what should have been her party. The doors to the Emerald Ballroom were wide open, revealing an unfamiliar wedding setup. Under the brilliant lights, a giant photo of the happy couple hung at the center of the room while guests mingled and laughed. He really canceled it? He really doesn't want me? Why? Leah mumbled to herself. Just then, a server pushed a 5-tiered wedding cake past her. On top, 2 small figures in a tuxedo and wedding gown stood in a sweet embrace. That should have been her and Grant. Her phone vibrated. A text from her mother. Leah, what's going on? Director Zhang just called, said he received a formal letter from Covington Enterprises terminating all partnerships. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Another text followed immediately. You need to call Grant and find out what's happening right now. Her fingers shaking, she dialed the number she knew by heart. The person you're trying to reach is unavailable. She dialed again. The same cold, automated voice. She sent a message on WhatsApp. A single gray checkmark appeared. Blocked. Leah stood frozen in the middle of the lobby, struggling to breathe. It was only then that the reality hit her like a physical blow. Grant was serious. He was really done with her. Whispers started behind her. Isn't that the daughter from Vance Holdings? I heard this was supposed to be her engagement party today. The Covingtons broke it off? Oh my God. The stairs felt like knives in her back. Leah stumbled back, tripping over a velvet rope stanchion and crashing on a marble floor. A sharp pain shot through her knee, but she barely registered it. She scrambled back to her feet and ran for the elevators, the sound of a hotel employee's panicked voice echoing behind her. Ms. Vance, are you all right? The moment the elevator doors closed, she finally collapsed, sinking to the floor. Her expensive gown pulled around her like a wilting flower. Her phone buzzed again. A text from Caleb. Leah, the finance department just told me my promotion was rejected by corporate headquarters. She stared at the message and started to laugh. A hollow, broken sound. As she laughed, tears streamed down her face. How ridiculous. She had lost Grant for an intern, and now she had nothing. When Leah burst into the Vance Holdings building, a strange silence hung over the entire office. The receptionist shot up from her desk. Ms. Vance, the chairman wants you in the boardroom immediately. The moment the elevator doors opened on the executive floor, she was hit by a wall of shouting. What do you mean the bank is calling our loans? Didn't we just submit a glowing quarterly report? Her father, Robert Vance, slammed his hand on the table, his CFO trembling before him. Mr. Vance, Covington Enterprises officially withdrew all of their guarantees this morning. The bank's risk assessment department immediately. Enough. Robert looked up and saw Leah, his eyes instantly turning bloodshot. Get over here. The boardroom door slammed shut. Her mother, Susan, was slumped in a chair, her face ashen. Leah, what on earth did you do? Why would Grant suddenly cancel the engagement? And was it really just about some intern? Robert threw a tablet on the table in front of her. The screen showed the company-wide announcement regarding the appointment of Caleb Thorne as personal assistant to the CEO. You made an enemy of the Covingtons for this piece of trash. Leah opened her mouth, but her throat felt like it had been seared with a hot iron. Dad, well, congratulations. Robert kicked a chair over. The Ocean View project has been halted. Investors have pulled out of the tech park, and the bank is demanding repayment of a $30 million loan. Do you know how long our cash flow can last? The finance department just ran the numbers. He held up 2 fingers. 2 months. Her mother rushed over and grabbed her hands. Leah, you need to go find Grant and apologize. Now, immediately. It's no use. Leah shook her head, dazed. He's blocked me on everything. Then go camp out at Covington Tower. Robert roared. Get on your knees and beg if you have to. I will not let 3 generations of this family's work be destroyed by you. She stumbled out of the boardroom in a haze, noticing the strange looks from everyone in the office. Department heads who used to greet her eagerly now avoided her gaze. She could hear hushed whispers from the break room. I heard it's because she was sleeping with that young intern. Grant Covington canceled the engagement on the spot. This is it. We're done. My cousin in venture capital set our company. She pushed open her office door. Caleb was standing awkwardly in front of her desk. Ms. Vance, HR just spoke with me. They said they need to reevaluate my... Get out. Caleb's eyes widened. What? I said get out. Leah screamed, grabbing a folder from her desk and hurling it at him. Now, get the hell out. When she was finally alone, Leah collapsed in her chair. Her eyes scanned her computer screen, her inbox overflowing with unread emails marked urgent. Notification of partnership termination final demand for payment warning of collateral liquidation. The most recent one, received 10 minutes ago, was from the bank. To Vance Holdings. In light of significant credit risk, our institution will be initiating procedures for early loan recovery. Trembling, she opened her contacts and found the number she hadn't dialed in 3 years. Jordan Riley, Grant's executive assistant. Jordan, she said, her voice hoarse. Could you please tell Grant for me? I'm sorry, Ms. Vance, Jordan said, his tone polite but firm, tinged with something like pity. Mr. Covington's orders are that all matters concerning Vance Holdings are to be handled strictly through official business channels. As the dial tone buzzed in her ear, Leah finally buried her face in her hands and broke down completely. Outside, dusk settled over the city, the glittering lights illuminating the panicked faces inside the collapsing empire of Vance Holdings. Leah spent the entire night in her office, only dozing off for a few minutes as dawn broke. Over a dozen empty coffee cups littered her desk. Shortly after the start of business hours, she woke up and mechanically scrolled through the latest report from the finance department. The accounts receivable column was a sea of red, the accounts payable numbers terrifyingly high. Knock, knock, knock. A frantic pounding on her door made her jump. The door flew open and the head of marketing, a man who had been with her family for 15 years, rushed in with bloodshot eyes. Ms. Vance, we just got word. Atlas Corp is canceling all their orders. They account for 40% of our revenue. Leah's vision swam. The CEO of Atlas Corp was one of Grant's golfing buddies. The entire tech department just resigned. The HR director ran in panicked. They said they all received offers from Covington Technologies. The phone rang again. The cold voice of the bank's credit manager came through the line. Ms. Vance, if the first loan installment isn't paid by 9 a.m. tomorrow, we will be forced to freeze all of your company's accounts. Leah clenched her fists, trying to stay lucid. Mr. Davis, after all our years of working together, I'm sorry, this decision comes from the top. The line went dead. She looked up through the glass wall of her office. The main floor was in chaos. People were packing their belongings into cardboard boxes. Others were frantically making copies at the printer. A group of mid-level managers were in a heated argument in a conference room. This was the sound of her family's legacy crumbling to dust. Her phone buzzed. A video from her mother. She opened it to see her father slumped on the floor of his study, surrounded by pill bottles and an empty bottle of whiskey. He was screaming hysterically at the camera. Are you happy now? The entire industry knows Robert Vance's daughter threw everything away for some pretty boy. The video cut off. Leah stumbled to her feet, a wave of nausea washing over her. She ran to the restroom and retched until there was nothing left, catching a glimpse of herself in the mirror. Puffy eyes, tangled hair, a trace of vomit at the corner of her mouth. Was this the same Leah Vance that Fortune magazine had once called a prodigy of the business world? The restroom door opened. 2 female employees saw her and froze, giving an awkward nod before starting to back out. Wait, Leah called out, her voice raspy. What are people? What's everyone saying about the company? The 2 women exchanged a nervous glance. The younger one finally worked up the courage to speak. Ms. Vance, the rumor is that Mr. Covington sent word to the entire industry. Anyone who helps the Vance family is making an enemy of him. The older one quickly added, Old Mr. Henderson from procurement went to beg one of our longtime suppliers this morning. The man told him straight up, you people crossed someone you should never have crossed. Leah waved them away and turned on the faucet, splashing icy water on her face. As the cold shocked her skin, she remembered something from 3 years ago. Grant had taken her to a gala for a major state-owned enterprise. The chairman, a notoriously arrogant man, had personally met them at the door, shaking Grant's hand and saying, We're honored to have you, Mr. Covington. At the time, she'd felt a surge of pride. Only now did she understand what that power truly meant. It wasn't that her company was so talented. It was that they were all paying respect to the man standing behind her. And she, like a fool, had mistaken his power for her own hard work. She'd even thrown it in his face. When she got back to her office, Caleb was standing by the door again, a fresh bruise on his cheek. Ms. Vance, he stammered. Security won't let me into the office. They said I've been fired. My apartment is company subsidized and now. Leah stared at the young face that had once stirred her sympathy and found it completely alien. Do you know why Grant came after you? She asked softly. Caleb's eyes darted around. Be because you valued me so much. No, Leah laughed, a sound more painful than a sob. It's because you were stupid enough to think you could play games right under his nose. She slammed the door in his face. When Leah stepped out of the elevator, the entire floor was eerily quiet. The once bustling office was now half empty. The few remaining employees moved like zombies, their fingers tapping mechanically at their keyboards. As she walked past, they all ducked their heads, avoiding eye contact as if she were carrying a plague. She pushed open the door to the stairwell, desperate for a breath of fresh air, only to hear a familiar voice from the landing below. The Vances are finished this time. It was Caleb, his voice filled with a giddy excitement she'd never heard before. Grant Covington himself put the word out. Who would dare work with him now? The blood in Leah's veins turned to ice. You got out quick, another man's voice chuckled. I heard finance paid you 3 months severance. That's nothing, Caleb scoffed. I've got the real dirt. You know, that day, I deliberately told Grant that Ms. Vance cares more about me than you, and that stupid woman actually blew up at him for me. Leah's fingers dug into the metal frame of the fire door until they ached. The funniest part was the day of the engagement party. Caleb continued, boasting. She actually showed up at the hotel in her gown, only to find someone else's wedding. I heard she had a complete breakdown on the spot. Ha! So what if she's from a rich family? I still managed to ruin everything. Damn, you're ruthless. It's a shame, though. My meal ticket is gone. My plan was to get a woman like that to fall for me. Then I'd have endless money, maybe even be her secret lover. Isn't that what all those rich people do? They get married for business, but fool around on the side. Caleb said, his voice laced with frustration. So I provoked Grant on purpose, hoping to drive a wedge between them and create an opportunity for myself. If their business alliance was too strong to break, at least I could have been her boy toy. Who knew Vance Holdings was so fragile? Well, you played yourself right out of the patron. It pisses me off just thinking about it. But it's her own fault for being so stupid. Caleb's voice suddenly turned dark. Did she really think I was just some helpless intern she could mold? If it wasn't for her being the CEO of Vance Holdings. The fire door flew open with a deafening bang that echoed through the stairwell. Caleb looked up and saw Leah, his face instantly turning ghost white. Ms. Vance. Leah stood on the steps, shaking from head to toe. She could finally see his face for what it was. All traces of clumsy innocence were gone, replaced by the smug satisfaction of a successful con artist. You used me, she said, her voice a raw, unrecognizable whisper. Caleb scrambled backward. No, that's not it. You have to listen to me. I was just joking around, just bragging. You provoked Grant on purpose. Ms. Vance. Caleb suddenly dropped to his knees. I was wrong. I was out of my mind. It's just because I care about you so much. Please don't. Leah grabbed the fire extinguisher from its wall mount and swung it at him. Ah, Caleb yelped, scrambling away as the heavy cylinder crashed against the concrete wall with a thunderous clang. I'll kill you, she screamed, lunging down the stairs, not even caring when her heel twisted under her. You ruined my family. You ruined me. Caleb practically crawled to the emergency exit, shouting over his shoulder, help, Ms. Vance has gone crazy. She's trying to kill me. Security guards, drawn by the commotion, rushed in and managed to restrain her, pleading with her to calm down. Caleb seized the opportunity and vanished. Leah was completely broken. She slumped to the floor, her expensive suit covered in dust, her styled hair matted to her tear-streaked face. Let go of me, she shrieked. I want to see Grant Covington. Right now. I need to see him. No one dared move. In the end, it was her mother who arrived and dragged her into the car. Look at yourself. Susan cried, gripping her daughter's shoulders. Making a public spectacle of yourself over that worthless piece of trash. On the drive to Covington Tower, Leah finally regained some composure. She stared into the vanity mirror, fixing her hair, wiping away the smudged eyeliner, and even reapplying her lipstick. It's okay, Mom, she said, her voice eerily calm. Grant still has feelings for me. He's just angry right now. Susan didn't answer, clearly unconvinced. As the car stopped in front of the massive skyscraper, Leah grabbed her mother's arm. My phone. Quick. She scrolled through her photos until she found her favorite picture of him. Last Christmas, Grant hugging her from behind, both of them smiling in front of the tree. She set it as her lock screen and checked her makeup 3 more times. He'll see me, she muttered to herself. 7 years together. He can't just. Just then, the glass doors of the building slid open. Grant stepped out. He was wearing the dark gray overcoat she loved, his long fingers adjusting a cufflink. The sunlight caught the sharp lines of his profile, turning his silhouette to gold. Leah threw the car door open and ran toward him. Grant! Hearing his name, I turned my head from inside the car, my gaze falling on her. My expression remained cold as ice. She rushed forward and grabbed my arm. Grant, let me explain. It was all Caleb. That bastard set me up. He admitted it. He deliberately tried to drive us apart. And what of it, Ms. Vance? I said coolly. The formal address hit her like a lightning strike. She stared at me, utterly stunned. Didn't I tell you from the start that he was playing you? I continued, my voice flat. And what was your response? She was speechless. It was over between us the moment you chose to believe him, to defend him, to threaten to call off our engagement for him. I said. No. She shook her head wildly, tears blurring her vision. In my heart, I really do love you. Those 7 years. Let's go, I told my driver. Leah clung to the car window. Where are you going? I'll come with you. Can't we start over? Please? I don't want anything else. Ms. Vance, have some self-respect. The car began to move. She was forced to let go, stumbling and falling to the cold pavement. Grant, she screamed after me, her voice raw with desperation. The black Maybach sped away, splashing muddy water onto her dress. Susan walked over, her voice weary. Let's go home, Leah. Your father. He had to mortgage the family home. Leah stared blankly in the direction the car had disappeared, and then she started to laugh. How pathetic. She had always thought she was special, that their 7 years together were unbreakable. Now, she finally understood. In Grant Covington's world, there were no second chances for betrayal. The day the bankruptcy and liquidation notice for Vance Holdings was published in the Wall Street Journal, Leah went alone to the French restaurant they used to frequent. The waiter recognized her, his expression awkward. Ms. Vance, your reservation. The table by the window, she said, pointing to the spot where Grant had first asked her to be his girlfriend. A table for two. The restaurant was warm, but she couldn't stop shivering. When the waiter brought the wine, she asked suddenly, Has Mr. Covington been in recently? Yes, just this past weekend, the waiter said after a slight pause. He was with a young lady from Sterling Pharmaceuticals. Leah froze, a bitter smile twisting her lips. As she stepped out of the restaurant, a news alert popped up on her phone. Covington Enterprises announces strategic partnership with Sterling Pharmaceuticals, forging a multi-billion-dollar healthcare powerhouse. The accompanying photo showed Grant and the Sterling heiress, smiling as they toasted each other. Standing in the biting December wind, she finally understood the true meaning of the word over. 3 months later, in a low-income housing complex on the west side of the city, Leah, wrapped in a faded-down jacket, was scrubbing an apron in the communal laundry room. A familiar argument erupted behind her. Get away from me, you old bastard. I'll call the cops. It was Caleb, dressed in a food delivery uniform, yelling at her father, Robert, who was chasing him with a limp. You animal, her father screamed, swinging his cane. You ruined my family. The cane hit Caleb's back with a dull thud. Other residents walked around them, unfazed. This was the 3rd time it had happened this week. Leah numbly wrung out the apron. Since they had moved here, her father's only job was to stalk Caleb. Caleb had been blacklisted from the corporate world. No reputable company would touch him after a background check revealed the scathing review from Vance Holdings. Even when he managed to find low-level jobs in other industries, it wouldn't be long before her father tracked him down, causing a scene and getting him fired. The leg injury was from one of those confrontations. This constant harassment had forced Caleb into the transient life of a delivery driver. But even then, Robert Vance would wait for him at popular drop-off locations, just for the chance to land a blow and vent his rage. The once proud chairman was now a man possessed by a single-minded, pathetic quest for vengeance. Leah, her mother shrieked from the hallway. Come get your father. The building manager is complaining again. Leah ignored her. She carried the plastic basin upstairs, past the electricity meter plastered with a final shut-off notice, past the hallways cluttered with junk, and into their tiny apartment. The TV was on. Covington Enterprises officially acquired the former Vance Holdings headquarters today. The site will be redeveloped into a new artificial intelligence research hub. She quietly closed the door, shutting out the news and her father's curses. In the top-floor office of Covington Tower, Jordan Riley put down his tablet. Mr. Covington, the auction for the Vance assets is complete. We acquired the main property at 35% of its assessed value. I signed a document without looking up. Proceed with the redevelopment as planned. Also, Jordan hesitated. Robert Vance caused another disturbance this morning at the complex where Caleb Thorne makes deliveries. He was removed by security. My pen paused for a fraction of a second. Should we continue to have our people track Caleb and feed the information to the Vances? I closed the folder and smiled. Absolutely. Let them tear each other apart. It's far more entertaining this way. I stood and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows. From this height, I could see the entire city. The skyscraper that once belonged to the Vance family now bore the Covington logo. Jordan quietly excused himself. One rainy evening, as I pulled into my private garage, I saw her. Leah was kneeling at the entrance, soaked to the bone. Her long hair was plastered to her face, her lips blue with cold. When she saw my headlights, she scrambled to her feet and threw herself in front of my car, pounding on the hood. Grant, I was wrong. Please, just give me one more chance. I frowned and gestured for the driver to keep moving. Grant, don't go. She stumbled forward as the car inched past her, her voice hoarse. Just let me talk to you. A tire rolled through a puddle, splashing dirty water all over her. But she didn't care, chasing the car until she finally cut me off at the entrance to the private elevator. Move, I said, my eyes like chips of ice. She threw herself into the elevator and dropped to her knees on the cold marble floor. I know I was wrong. I really, truly know I was wrong now. The doors began to slide shut. I pressed the close button, not out of pity, but because I didn't want the inevitable scene when security came to drag her away. Speak. Leah looked up, rainwater and tears mixing on her face. It's my fault. I was so stupid I couldn't tell the difference between real and fake. I thought Caleb needed protecting, but he was just using my sympathy the whole time. She grabbed the hem of my pants. But that's no excuse. The real reason is that I was scared. I looked down at her, my face a mask. You were too perfect, she sobbed. So perfect that I felt like I didn't deserve you. So I let Caleb get close. I wanted to prove that you'd get jealous for me, that you'd lose control for me. She choked on her words. I was a complete and total fool, but my love for you is real. The elevator was silent, save for her suppressed sobs. Are you finished? I asked, pressing the button for my floor. Leah panicked, crawling forward to wrap her arms around my legs. Those 7 years. The time you gave me the star necklace, you had a fever and I stayed with you for 3 days. The time you were cornered in the boardroom, I stayed up all night preparing your counterarguments. All of that was real. My love for you never changed. The elevator doors opened. I pried her fingers off me. Leah, I paused. Your biggest mistake was thinking you could use my love as a bargaining chip. She collapsed onto the floor. The Grant Covington who loved you died the day you chose to protect him and threaten me. I stepped out of the elevator. Forgive me, Grant. Give me a chance. You want the company. I can help you. I'll sign everything over. I don't want anything, she cried, scrambling after me. As long as I can stay by your side, I'll be your maid, your servant, whatever you want. The company is already mine, I said, opening the door to my penthouse. I glanced back at her, and as for a maid like you, I'm not interested. I closed the door. Leah knelt outside, pounding on the wood. I'm sorry. I really know I was wrong. I love you. Forgive me. She stayed there all night. I never opened the door. A love that comes too late is cheaper than dirt. 1 year later, in late autumn, I stood on the top floor of the newly completed research center, looking out over the city lights. The glass tower, built on the ruins of the Vance headquarters, was now a landmark of technological innovation. Jordan knocked and entered, handing me a file. Mr. Covington, the final agenda for next week's summit. I flipped through it. My eyes paused for a moment on a name. Special guest, Catherine Sterling, Vice President of Sterling Pharmaceuticals, before I calmly turned the page. One more thing, Jordan said, hesitating. Ms. Vance. She's working as a sales associate at the mall across the street. He added quietly, I saw her by chance during a site visit today, at a cosmetics counter. Noted, in the cosmetics section of the mall, Leah was applying makeup to a customer. This new lipstick shade would be perfect for your skin tone, she said with a practiced smile, twisting open the sample. The customer stared at her. Aren't you? That woman from Vance Holdings. You must have me mistaken for someone else, Leah said, quickly lowering her head to organize the testers. Would you like me to ring that up for you? After the customer left, she pulled out her phone. The lock screen was a generic landscape photo she'd found online. Her camera roll was empty of him. Leah, the manager called out, go to the stockroom and grab 10 tubes of shade 36. She acknowledged the order and, turning, caught her reflection in a mirror. A standard uniform, a name tag, her hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. How absurd. The great heiress who once had lipstick flown in from Paris now spent her days on her feet, pushing a $40 product. After closing, she ran into Caleb in the employee passageway. He was wearing a wrinkled suit, his face bruised. Leah, she walked right past him as if he were invisible. I got a job, he called after her. At an insurance company. Your dad showed up and made a scene again today. I almost got fired. Please, can you just tell him to stop? Leah walked into the subway station without a backward glance. On the screen above the platform, the evening news was playing. Heir to Covington Enterprises and Sterling heiress rumored to be nearing engagement. The story was accompanied by a paparazzi shot from a gala. Grant's profile looked sharp and impossibly handsome. Leah watched for a moment, then calmly opened a shopping app on her phone and added her father's blood pressure medication to her cart. A love that was lost, no matter how much it hurt, could never come back.